What's going on, YouTube? We had a few technical difficulties, and we're getting ready to get started in right now.
And here we go.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is
Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Did you think no one was watching?
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
your mission.
Suppose we go where no man has gone before.
To reclaim the American dream,
To be given the right of human beings to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
You've certainly come to the right place.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Wednesday, hump day, a beautiful day in the city of Boston. I'm telling you, we can't buy days like this. We can't have them enough because once you've come through the winter that we came through, winter is always in the back of your mind. Every time I see the sun in the back of my mind, I think of the meme from, Game of Thrones. Brace yourself, winter is coming. But it's not here yet. So we're going to enjoy every day we can. Coming up this weekend in Boston, in the beautiful city of Roxbury, is Juneteenth celebration. I'm plugging it because I'm telling you that is one of the most beautiful events that happens in the state of Massachusetts. It's, thousands and thousands of people just out having a great time celebrating Juneteenth, the liberation, if you would, of African American people. And it's just a beautiful event, and I'm looking forward to that. So if you're in Boston, we want you to meet us there on Saturday. It's food, it's fun, it's people, it's dancing, and it's just usually a really beautiful time. So that's my spiel on Boston. Beautiful city, beautiful times coming up. I don't know where to begin with regard to the news. So yesterday, Donald Trump decides to throw his hat in the ring for president. Okay, we could start there, or we could start with Rachel Dolezal, who did her interview on the Today Show. But those are silly pieces of news. I mean, quite frank, to be quite honest with you and frank with you, that's just somewhat of fodder. But there's some serious things happening in the world also. I'm just getting wind of everything that's happening in the Dominican Republic with people of Haitian descent. And so we're going to unpack that a little bit. And actually, I think I'm going to do an entire video episode on that because everything I read about it is very troubling, very disturbing with regard to, for all intents and purposes, they're doing a cleansing, an ethnic cleansing of anyone of Haitian descent. And they're retroactively getting rid of birthright citizenship. Watch this, all the way back to 1929. So essentially they're saying they're changing the qualifications of what it means to be a citizen of the Dominican Republic. And anyone born after 1929 in the Dominican Republic, it's irrelevant if you were born there. You still have to now go through hurdles to prove and to earn or prove your citizenship. I don't have the full story, but it's so contrived, the hurdles that they're making. And essentially, the ramifications of this is that over 200,000 people of Haitian descent today stand the chance of being deported. Now, they're going to be deported right across the dividing line of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. But if you've lived in the Dominican Republic all of your life, one guy said, I might be of Haitian descent, but they're two totally different worlds. And they don't know anyone in Haiti. So essentially today, if everything goes according to their Supreme Court's ruling in the Dominican Republic, there's a possibility that 200,000 people at the end of the day will not have a state, will not have a nation, and the nation that they've called home all of their lives is going to put them out for what reason? for no other reason than being of Haitian descent. As I was reading an article on it, it seems as though that they're trying to they actually use the word cleanse. And, the only difference between cleanse, there's only one word difference between cleansing and what happened, what has happened historically in the past, what happened in the Holocaust, what is happening in in Europe with ethnic cleansing. So I'm going to pull up an article on that, and we're probably going to dedicate an entire show to that because it's disturbing. It's disturbing because it's happening right underneath our radar, right? Really, literally in our backyard. This is not far from the United States that this is happening, and we've heard no one talk about this. The only way I found out about this was through social media. I didn't hear a news broadcast. I didn't see an article in the newspaper. I didn't see. I finally got a link sent to me from the Washington Post that had a write-up about it. But no one in the mainstream media is covering this whatsoever. I mean, we have a human rights disaster happening right in the backyard of the United States of America, and we're turning a blind eye to it. This is a violation of human rights on so many levels. To deport people, citizens, people who were citizens by birth in your nation, you're deporting them because now they have Haitian descent in their blood. They come from a Haitian heritage. I mean, the blatant and clear racism involved in it is despicable. This has happened. It's something similar, as I was reading, something similar happened before. And the way they are, by many estimates, the way that they are gauging whether or not you're Haitian descent is based on your complexion. Now, there are some other, there's some other metrics that they're using, obviously, whether or not your immediate parents are Haitian and declared Haitian and immigrants, and then you were born to them in the Dominican Republic. But anywhere, any civilized place in the in the world, particularly, look at it. Well, not that the United States is civilized. It depends on what the issue is. But look at the right to citizenship based on the fact that you're born inside of inside of the borders of a nation. That is the prevailing theme across the world. I believe Germany doesn't do that. I think Germany is another nation that does not allow you to get citizenship just by being born in their borders. But what's disturbing is that this is the 21st century. This is an era of progress. Ostensibly, this is supposed to be an era of progress. This is an era of human rights. This is supposed to be the era of moving forward, leaving the baggage of racial discrimination and racial tensions and ethnic cleansing. In your mind, it seems as though this is completely ridiculous for the times that we live in. But realistically, this is happening more across the world than we realize. We just don't see it happening in the United States directly. We don't see it happening in our backyard. And so we turn a blind eye to it a lot of times. A lot of times we're not even aware of it. I mean, I can't even name some of the other nations that have been mired in ethnic cleansing and civil war for years. Because a lot of times we're so focused on the narrow lens of the United States that we don't look around us to see all of the atrocities that are happening. And this atrocity that is happening in the Dominican Republic is a human rights tragedy, and no one is talking about it. My listeners, you may not have even known about it. Matter of, I didn't know about it. And this has been going on for quite some time. The ruling that came down from the Supreme Court in the Dominican Republic, which nullified birthright citizenship, that came down in February. But no one said anything about it. And now today, Wednesday, the 17th, now is the day of, if they have not proven their citizenship, they are going to be deported. Now, whether or not they're deported today, as in the end of the day, or whether or not I think there's supposed to be a 45-day grace period, but that's not concrete. That's not set in stone. Whether or not that happens, I think to a certain extent, that's besides the point. The point that needs to be argued is, how can we as an international community allow a nation, any nation, I don't care who it is, allow a nation to all of a sudden decide a certain ethnicity is no longer allowed in their country. Now, don't get me wrong. The international community is a big community, and one of the prevailing themes of international relations is that a nation has autonomy, a nation has sovereignty. They can do whatever they want. That's fine. Okay, so based on the letter of international, I don't want to say international law, but based on international norms, the Dominican Republic can do whatever the hell it wants to do. Likewise, we as an international community can do whatever we want to in terms of putting pressure on them. You know what? Where are the protests? There should be protests about this. There should be a travel ban. No one from the United States should be allowed to go to the Dominican Republic so long as they are engaging in this type of activity of ethnic cleansing. And they're just putting, it's not ethnic cleansing yet in the sense of, in the sense of they're killing people of Haitian descent, but you're ripping people up from everything that they know, everything that they've built. I mean, think about all the people who've built businesses. Out of the 200,000 people that are going to be deported, they've built businesses, they've built homes, they've built an entire community, they've built their lives. And now all of a sudden, because the people of the Dominican Republic don't particularly like this brand of people, this color of people, I was reaching, well, let me finish that sentence. All of a sudden now your entire life is uprooted and you're being expelled. But here's the problem. They're not citizens of Haiti. So it's not as though you're saying, go back home. What you're saying to them, the Dominican Republic, what they're saying is that you now have no home. You are a group of people, 200,000 people who no longer have a home. We're going to deport you to Haiti. But that's a misnomer. Deporting means that you're getting sent back to where you come from, right? But these people were born in the Dominican Republic and they had citizenship. That should be terrifying to people. That should be terrifying to anyone in the international community, particularly here in the United States, that by a Supreme Court decision, they can nullify birthright citizenship and then redefine what citizenship means. And then retroactively apply it. It would be one thing to say, okay, going forward, anyone born in the borders of the Dominican Republic, anyone born here would be not necessarily a citizen. They have to meet this criteria. These idiots retroactively applied this decision, and now all the way back to 1929, which means basically all of our grandparents 2 generations ago are now retroactively being deemed not citizens of the Dominican Republic, which conveniently, watch what this does. Like in Germany, I believe you're not a citizen unless you have 2 generations, your grandparents were citizens. Right? Just because you're born in Germany doesn't mean you're German. You have to have you have to have your grandparents. Your grandparents had to have been German. And then if they were German and your parents were German, then if you're born in Germany, you're a German. The Dominican Republic said, we're going to take care of that problem. We're going to go all the way back to this generation's grandparents, 1929. And we're going to nullify any citizenship after that point that was earned through birthright. As an international community, are we just going to sit by and let this happen and no one say anything? I want to get into the nuance of of the racial problem in the Dominican Republic and as opposed to Haiti. But I'm not an expert in that field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to table this conversation until I get some of my friends who are out of the Haitian diaspora and that study Haiti, that volunteer and go back to Haiti on a regular basis. I'm going to try to get a couple of my friends here. And if I don't really know too many people from the Dominican Republic, but I'm going to extend the hand out to them to hear from them, to get them involved in the conversation, because I want to know more about the tensions. There's a great documentary done by Professor Henry Louis Gates that a friend of mine sent to me last night on Facebook, and it deals with the racial tensions and the fact that most of the Dominican Republic identifies with Spain versus their African heritage. 90% of the people in the Dominican Republic are Black in terms of their hue and their complexion and their features, but they reject the Afro part of their heritage, and they embrace the Spanish portion of their heritage, and that has been the nature of the relationship, where they see Haitians as too dark. And I'm not making this up. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous in 2015, but this is the truth, right? They see Haitians as being of African descent and too dark and not a part of the Dominican heritage, even though 90% of people in the Dominican Republic are of African descent. There's a complexity. There's a self-hatred that's going on there, and this self-hatred is now being exhibited and demonstrated through this policy that is rejecting the birthright citizenship of people all the way back of people in the Dominican Republic all the way back to 1929, essentially expunging and putting out, deporting people who were born in their nation. All they know is that nation. They have built families, they have built homes, they have built businesses, and now they're being quote unquote deported, because that's a misnomer. Deportation generally means being sent back to the country of your citizenship. But what is actually happening is not deportation. This is an exile, because they don't have a nation to go back to. Just because they're of Haitian descent, they are not born in Haiti. They don't have any roots in Haiti. Their grandparents were born, their grandparents lived in the Dominican Republic. And so they're completely being uprooted from everything that they know and being sent to a nation that they know nothing about. Granted, it's right across a river, but they're in two totally different worlds. They're even in two different time zones. It's two totally different experiences. And imagine if you were uprooted from everything that you knew. Your citizenship, your United States citizenship, was nullified because of whatever decision was made by the Supreme Court. And all of a sudden they're saying, we're going to ship you back to Ireland. We're going to ship you back to wherever your ethnicity, your heritage, wherever your great grandparents came from. We're going to send you back to the UK. We're going to send you back to Yugoslavia or whatever your origin is. We're going to send you back to Nigeria, wherever they can't do that with African Americans. Let me tell you. You know why they can't do that with African Americans? Because they destroyed our complete history. We have no idea. What are they going to do? We're going to send you back to Africa. Yeah, what country in Africa? But I digress. All right, folks. When I come back, I'm going to deal with a little lighter news, but I'm definitely going to deal with this Haiti and Dominican Republic thing. I'm going to deal with it a lot more. I'm going to do a standalone video about that, and definitely want to get the word out, because at a minimum, I think the United States should place a travel ban, because this is a human rights violation of a vast magnitude. It is over 200,000 people that are going to be without a home, without a state, and being removed from everything that they know. So we're not going to just sit by and let this happen, even though it has already taken place. We're going to make the DR. They need to pay. They need to pay the international ramifications that come with this. All right, folks. We're going to do with lighter news when we come back, and we're going to deal with some of the foolishness that's happening across America with Donald Trump entering the race. That should lift up our spirits. We'll be back. Donald Trump is always a good laugh. We'll be back after this.
you're ready to lose weight, why count, track, and worry over every meal? Jenny Craig makes it simple. Just walk into a neighborhood Jenny Craig center or give us a call. You'll meet your dedicated personal consultant who helps you reach your goals. Together, you'll pick out delicious Jenny Craig foods that you'll love and design a menu that fits your life. And the best part is that you can get started losing weight right away. Don't wait any longer to take advantage of our best offer ever. Call 1-800-JENNY20 or visit jennycraig.com.
This is the sound of salmonella gyrating on your undercooked chicken. And it looks like Mom might be taking it out a little early. Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So use a thermometer to cook each type of meat to the right temperature. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
Warm fleece on a cool day.
I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So, you know what? This guy, I think it's best left if I just let him speak for himself. Let's see if I can get this to work here. Oh, all of a sudden it doesn't work. Here we go. Anyway, so I'm talking about the Donald Trump. And while I stall a little bit to see why this video audio isn't playing through the system, but that's okay. You know Donald Trump. He is the perpetual candidate, always running for president of the United States.
They're rapists.
There he is.
Big lie. I beat China all the time. When was the last time you saw a Chevrolet in Tokyo? When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. The big lie. Obamacare. $5 billion we spent on a website. I hire people. They do a website. It costs me $3. Are you running? Are you not running? I am officially running for president of the United States. We need a leader that wrote The Art of the Deal. I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. Free trade can be wonderful if you have smart people, but we have people that are stupid. I like China. I just sold an apartment for $15 million to somebody from China. They have bridges that make the George Washington Bridge look like small potatoes. I don't need anybody's money. It's nice. I'm really rich. I love the Saudis. Many are in this building. Obama, a year ago. Yeah.
Let me stop here, because he says it's 2 minutes of just the. This was not a parody, people. This was not a parody. This was not a collection of all of his dumbest quotes over the last 5-6 years. This was his speech on yesterday. All of this was inside of his speech on yesterday. I don't even know if I got to the, he said so much in that part. But he said, I like China. You know, I just sold an apartment for $15 million to a guy from China. Like, you know, is that a qualifier for, in his mind, does that genuinely qualify him to be the president of the United States? Here's the deal. I'm not even going to entertain the conversation about whether or not he's going to win, whether or not he can win, because he's not going to win because he cannot win. First of all, Second of all, the only thing that he's here for is the free publicity. That's it. Anybody who runs for the president of the United States and has a platform large enough to get national recognition, their platform is enlarged. It grows. It becomes it's free publicity. Every time they run, they're going to sell more books. They're going to get more speaking engagements. Not only are they going to get more speaking engagements, they can charge more for speaking engagements. And don't let Donald Trump make you think that he's so rich that he doesn't need these type of perks. Come on. I mean, when he ran last time, it was almost like a promotion for his TV show. What was the name of that show? The Apprentice. It was a promotion. It was a promotion for that. His entire existence in the last election was about promoting that show and promoting his brand. So don't let him fool you into thinking that, oh, he's just here because he wants to make America. But come on. I mean, he's here. He's gonna have another book out. He's gonna sell another 1,000,000 books because there's 1,000,000 imbeciles that are gonna go out and say, I have to hear from Donald Trump. Well, if you heard him, why would you ever want to hear him again? And I don't know if I got to the best part of this. Let me finish playing this clip. Hang on.
Rich. I love the Saudis. Many are in this building. Obama, a year ago, Yemen was a great victory. 2 weeks later, the place was blown up. We're dying. We need money. Thank you, darling. But Mr. Trump, you're not a nice person. You don't need nice. That's true. But actually, I am. I think I am a nice person. We have losers. I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. We won't be using a man like Secretary Kerry, goes into a bicycle race at 72 years old and falls and breaks his leg. I won't be doing that. The American dream is dead. But
okay, I'm gonna stop him there. The American dream is dead. Yeah, you know why it's dead? And this is the one thing I agree with him on. You know why the American dream is dead, Donald Trump? It's dead because of men like you. It's dead because of policies that eviscerated the middle class. And that is what you represent. That is what your entire brand represents. That's what your party represents. You're perfectly aligned. If there's ever a genuine Republican candidate, it is Donald Trump. He represents the entirety of the economic mindset of the Republican Party. He represents the goals and aspirations. I mean, hell, Mitt Romney, as much money as he has, he went to bow down last time in the 2012 election to get the seal of approval from Donald Trump. And at that meeting, Donald Trump talked about himself at that press conference. He didn't talk about Mitt Romney. He talked about himself. Donald Trump is the archetype Republican. And he's talking about the American dream. Yes, the American dream is dead because men like you stripped everything from the middle class and pushed it to the top. There has been the economic growth, wage growth rather, in the middle class has flatlined over the last 30 years. You do the math. What was happening about 30 years ago? Wage growth at the top has exploded over the last 30 years. There can be no American dream without a middle class. If we don't invest, anyway, I'm not here to get on my economic bully pulpit. But the fact that he's admitting that the American dream is dead, and he they're the masters of propaganda. So he says the American dream is dead, alluding to, insinuating that it's dead because of what? Because of President Obama or because of Democratic progressive policies? No, the American dream. Now, put a pin there, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to get on Obama and I'm going to get on the progressives. But the American dream is dead because of a paradigm shift that took place in 1981. America is fundamentally different today than it was pre-1981. We no longer invest in our citizens. We no longer invest in the middle class. A middle class is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. I know I've said that a lot of times on the show. I have to say it again for people to realize the middle class underneath capitalism, the middle class is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. You must invest in a middle class. The nature and structure of capitalism is such that it will create the haves and the haves not and the have-nots. The people with capital get more capital. Translation: the people born into money are able to create more money and to accumulate more money. And as you accumulate more money, you're taking more away from the bottom. The bottom remains at the bottom, the top remains at the top, but there is no middle class. There is no middle class without intentional investment by a government. And those investments were completely eviscerated starting in 1981, and they've been chipping away at the rest of it ever since. And so, yes, the American dream is dead, Donald Trump, because of men like you and policies that you would bring. And here's another trick that he did, right? This is another thing that Republicans are so good at. Actually, no, before I jump on the Republicans, now let me jump on President Obama and jump on progressives. Well, maybe not progressives so much, but Democrats. Let me jump on them. Here's the reason. Here's the other part. The other reason the American dream is dead is because since 1981, Democrats have not been progressive. They have been conservative economically. And I know conservatism is a misnomer. It has a tone. It has it sounds as though it is something to be desired, as if we're conservative economically, we're more responsible. In actuality, the policies of conservatives are irresponsible to the umpteenth degree. Look historically what the policies of conservatives have brought us. If I can just use two glaring anecdotes, right? But I mean, there's plenty of data around it. But right now, I'm just going to speak anecdotally, right? Right before the Great Depression, we had laissez-faire, conservative economic policies that exacerbated the wealth disparity, for one, but then two, it ballooned our economy such that when it exploded, it caused the Great Depression. Look it up for yourself. Maybe I'll put some links up. But then, circa 2007, similar policies, not as drastic, granted, not as the disparity was not as glaring, but the disparity was building back up. Economic policies, deregulation in particular. I mean, this is where it is. It's not just economic policies, but it's the deregulation. It's turning a blind eye. It's saying, you know what, Wall Street, do whatever you want to do. We're just going to go over here and just siphon off money to you. We're just going to go over here and mind our business. It's not just the economic policies. It's more about turning a blind eye, deregulation, and no regulation at all, and allowing people whose sole purpose is profit, allowing them to do whatever they want to do. And what happens? We have the biggest recession that the nation has ever seen since the Great Depression. Now, here's the problem. All the while in the middle of this, we have had Democratic so-called progressives in power. Right now, we have a Democrat progressive in power. But neither Bill Clinton nor Barack Obama has even attempted to shift us back in a meaningful way into balance. They have catered to and continued the neoliberal economic policies, because, you know, if we could talk about misnomers, conservatism is actually neoliberalism. Right? They go underneath the guise of conservatives, of economic conservatism, because that sounds good and that gets all the good old boys. We need to be economically conservative, right? And all that bull, right? But in actuality, their policies are neoliberal, and they exasperate poverty. They eviscerate the middle class, and they fundamentally transform the entire nature of our economy. But Democrats have done nothing to shift us back in a meaningful way. We get tokens. We get tokens and trinkets. The Affordable Care Act, you know, as hard as they made Obama fight for that, that is really not a progressive piece of legislation. It's not. And we as Democrats got entrenched and in bed with President Obama because we hated the fact that they were attacking him so badly. And we came to his defense, and we became champions of a policy that, quite frankly, is not progressive. But I know it's sometimes at some points you have to take what you can get. But at some point, are we ever going to shift the nation back to the policies that actually built the middle class? The policies that actually made the American dream feasible and possible? Or are we going to continue with these blue dog Democrats who essentially are conservative Democrats in name only, if I could steal that acronym, right? But they're not progressive. And I'm sorry, you know what? I love President Obama to a certain extent, but in this regard, on economic policies and the fundamental structure of our economy, President Obama has done nothing to shift us back to pre-Ronald Reagan era. To a pre-Ronald Reagan era, when we had a thriving middle class. Right now, we have the working poor. Right now, we have a middle class that lives paycheck to paycheck. Right now, we have a middle class that can no longer write off a credit card interest. They can't write off, there's just so many different things that have been taken away that help build the middle class, because quiet as it's kept, capitalism will not create a middle class. Laissez-faire capitalism, where the government is not involved at all, will create an upper class and those who are poor. That's it. And of course, you have the working class elite, right? You have those who managed to struggle, and they are maybe they didn't struggle. Maybe they went to college easily and they got there. The doctors, the lawyers, and people, the engineers, those people. But everyone can't be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? If everyone becomes a doctor, lawyer, see, this is the lie. They were like, well, why don't you just major? You should have majored in engineering. You know what? If everyone was an engineer, then the value of engineers based on their system of capitalism, we would flood the market with engineers, and all of a sudden the value of an engineer would go down to nothing. Same thing from doctors and lawyers, even though most people think lawyers aren't worth anything anyway. So the American dream, Donald Trump, it is dead because of people like you, but it's also dead because of the quiet acquiescence of people like President Obama and Bill Clinton, who they managed to get us out of the hole that Republicans put us in, but they stopped there and never attempted to go back to progressive policies that actually made the American dream possible. And now President Obama is, and this should be a red flag to everyone. The fact that President Obama is getting support, his main support base for this Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, the main support base for President Obama is the Republican Party. That should be a red flag to everyone, considering the amount of opposition that President Obama has gotten from these guys on every single thing. So my question to President Obama is, where are you progressive economically, particularly with regard to the TPP? So no, I'm not going to give the Democrats a pass on this one. No, the American dream is still dead today because many Democrats are going alone, even if it's not, even if it's tacitly. They are going along with the system that was created, the fundamental shift that happened in 1981. And we have not shifted back. When I tell you, I always say this, and we're going to go to a break. I always say this: when the United States is like a huge freighter in the ocean, and we make small adjustments to the left and small adjustments to the right, and those small adjustments make huge ramifications over the long period. A few degrees to the left, and you will end up in an entirely different place than you would a few degrees to the right. But in 1981, and I can't successfully finish this. I'm be honest with you, I don't know enough about boating or seamanship or anything to finish this analogy aptly, right? But in 1981, we made a hard shift to the right. I mean, Ronald Reagan turned the ship so drastically that honestly, they had to roll it back because we were getting ready to capsize. We were getting ready to go under. The deficits were exploding. The national debt was exploding. And they had to raise taxes back just enough for us not to drown as a nation. And you know what? The trajectory that they placed us on in 1981 has shifted us so far, taking us so far in the opposite direction of a middle class, of the American dream. We're going so far off the mark, yet whenever we get a Democrat, they don't try to shift us back. They just do little incremental shifts to the right or to the left. And as a result, we're still living underneath the 1981 paradigm that Ronald Reagan brought in, which is by definition of their economic policies, destructive to the middle class and therefore destructive to the American dream. So Donald Trump, you're right about that one thing. The American dream is on this way out of the door if it's not already dead, but it's not that you can save us from it. It's because of people like you that have made it happen. We'll be back.
You're tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Join the conversation, 857-600-0518.
Looking for the right business opportunity? Need the right product, the right marketing plan, and the absolute best training in the world? Well, look no further. The Elite Team. Every leader in time excels. They believe the key ingredients in becoming successful in life and in business are just a keystroke away. Go to www.eliteteamsite.com. That's www.eliteteamsite.com. The Elite Team has a system in place that will move you closer to achieving your goals and dreams. Visit www.eliteteamsite.com or TonyFlemingEnterprises.com today.
College is important, but it can also be expensive. College Planning Services is a group of educators, administrators, counselors, and other licensed professionals that work together to provide the necessary services, networks, and information to reach students that are serious about getting a college education. College Planning Services partners with financial institutions, corporate sponsors, and other major players in the global market to strategize in building a pool of information regarding financial aid, scholarships, and funding information to assist students in preparing to access the essential resources to build upon their path to an educational future. Learn more at collegeplanningtoday.com and let us help you start your college career.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Ultimate Business Solutions provides the support you need to increase your customer base and sell more products and services online. Specializing in graphic arts, web development, and internet marketing, Ultimate Business Solutions creates the face of your business. If you're looking for a custom logo, dynamic website, or popping marketing material, call Ultimate Business Solutions today at 404-704-2197 or visit www.ultimatebizsolutions.com. Ultimate Business Solutions. Let us create your future.
Do you have tax issues, owe back taxes, or need tax relief? Contact L&B Tax Service today. L&B offers you over 15 years of expertise and first-class tax service for individuals, professionals, and business owners with nationwide service. You can easily find a location near you. Contact one of our tax professionals through our website, lbtaxservice.com. That's www.lbtaxservice.com. L&B Tax Service Incorporated. Tax professionals that you can trust.
You've tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show.
All right. Somehow I managed to take a clown like Donald Trump and turn it into a serious economic conversation. My bad, folks. I really didn't mean to be so serious with especially when talking about Donald Trump, because he's an absolute buffoon, imbecile. Money doesn't buy you class, intelligence, or common sense, and Donald Trump is lacking in all three. And I did not mean to make it such a serious segment, but the truth is the truth about the middle class. Now, And I intentionally put Donald Trump in the middle so that it could be a little more lighthearted versus what I'm going to deal with Rachel Dolezal, because really what Rachel Dolezal represents it's legitimately can be connected to what's going on in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, in the sense of what is race, what is heritage, what is culture, and what does that all mean? But anyway, Rachel Dolezal, I almost wanted to call her a chick, but I'd probably get in trouble for saying that, even though I just did. Okay, so Rachel Dolezal is the woman, of course, everyone knows who she is. She's the white woman masquerading as a black woman because she identifies. She what was the phrase she used yesterday? It'll come to me. But she identifies as being black. And then all of a sudden, everyone starts to say, well, half of America says, she's transracial. And, comparing it to transgenderism, right? And we can deal with that. We've already dealt with that. I might do it a little more. But here's the thing. A lot of people are trying to now use this idea of no such thing as race. They're trying to allow Rachel Dolezal to be the stimulant, whatever the word is. I don't know the exact word I'm looking for. But they're trying to use her as a means of saying, well, there's no such thing as race. And because there's no such thing as race, you could opt in and be black. Why not? Since race is such a socially, it's a social construct. It's something that we created, because in actuality, our race is actually human. We're Homo sapien. That is that is what we all are. And just by varying degrees of differences, very, very minute differences, our skin complexions are different. Here's the irony of that. It would be a beautiful world if that were true in practice as it is in theory. In theory, it is true that we are all the same, and there is really just the human race, and we just have different pigmentations and, nationalities and ethnicities. But race-wise, race is a social construct. Color is just a variation on the same race. But in practice, there are very real ramifications with regard to the color of your skin. And the ramifications that we did not make up. When I say we, I'm particularly talking about minorities. We didn't make up the concept. We didn't make up the ramifications that come along with being darker hue. We didn't. We were born into it. We were born into a world that race is absolutely a factor. And here's the disingenuous part of that conversation about no such thing as race, and we can opt in and be black. You can opt in and be black, right? Okay. But people who are not white cannot opt in to be white because our skin tone says otherwise. Somebody said that there's a caller last week that said that you can get a surgery to change your skin pigmentation. I don't know about that. I think he was just making something up. I have never heard of an actual surgery that can remove your pigmentation, right? I know you can bleach your skin, and a lot of black people bleach their skin because they're dealing with a level of self-hatred. They hate the color of their skin because they're born in a world where definitions of beauty have been set by white people. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is that you cannot take the world in isolation and say, okay, as of today, there's no such thing as race, and you can opt in and be black. When the reality of it is, the ramifications of our dark skin are very real. As evidenced by the many altercations that we've seen African Americans and black people in general have with the police, or the police have had with African Americans. I mean, we've seen clear evidence, and there's imbeciles who are going to deny and say there's no such thing as police violence. There are going to be always some idiots that are going to deny it, but there's plenty of evidence that suggests that conclusive evidence that shows, video evidence of the guy getting shot in his back. Video evidence of all these guys being just shot for no reason at all. And we can argue about the nuances of the different cases with like Michael Brown. Fine, we can argue that. But there are plenty of other cases that directly demonstrate the treatment that African Americans and Black people in general get at the hands of this American system. So to all of a sudden say, well, there's no such thing as race and you can opt in to be Black, well, that's not really true. There is such thing as race in the sense of the ramifications of race. There was very real discrimination based on the color of your skin. You can't all of a sudden say, oh, well, there's no such thing as race. But we would not even have to have these conversations if it were not for all of the institutionalized systems of supremacy and oppression that were built and baked into the cake of not just the United States, but the global system. We're still dealing with those ramifications right now. As I said that word like 5 more times. Let's see if I can switch and get a new word for ramifications. We're dealing with the effects. I'll go with effects. We're still dealing with the negative effects till this day, and until we fix that. And I was talking with Dr. Boyce Watkins and Yvette Carroll. Oh, I forgot her last name. Yvette, forgive me. But she said it best. Until we fix those negative effects, we should not be having a conversation about the non-existence of race, because all that does is, and these were my words now, it just kind of nullifies all of the progress that we have had to make based upon race. We've had to make all sorts of progress based upon race, not because we just said, oh, well, we want special treatment because we're Black. No, we said we just want to be treated equal. If being treated equal is special treatment, then yes. But all we wanted was to be treated equal in every facet and have equal opportunity, not equal outcomes, but equal opportunity. And we're still fighting that today. So for anyone to say that race, that now that Rachel Dolezal is starting a conversation about the real definition of race and that she can be transracial and she can identify as a Black person, and because race doesn't really exist, it's a social construct. All of those things would be beautiful if not for the 400 years, 500 years, or even longer, once you go beyond the shores of the United States, the historical oppression and very real effects of color. And because darker hued people cannot opt in to be white, unless we destroy, let me say it like this, if you want to destroy the concept of what it is to be Black, then you must also destroy the concept of what it is to be white. And I'm game for that. Anybody up for that? I'm absolutely game for that. Because what that means is, what that would mean is we must fundamentally destroy every facet and every ounce, every bit of privilege that white supremacy baked into the system. So, okay, you know what? Let's have that conversation. Just so long as you realize we cannot have that conversation about post-racial, transracialism, and opting in to being Black, and there's no such thing as race because race is a social construct. We cannot have that conversation without fundamentally saying, okay, we must uproot, root out, and destroy every facet of white supremacy that is still lingering in across the world. Not just America, my friends, across the world, because what we see in the Dominican Republic right now is a very sad facet of white supremacy. And when I say white supremacy, let me just give one final caveat with that, because I want you to understand something. White supremacy is not white people. White supremacy is a word that is overused right now, but I'm using it in a very real specific context. It is the structure, it is the system that was created to extract wealth globally. And watch this, for the wealthy and it used systems of white supremacy. It used racism. It used the latent bigotry and hatred of a lot of poor people who are also victims of white supremacy, because the wealth that was extracted didn't go into your hands. It went to the top. It was always about money. Always. It was never purely about race. It was always people at the top looking down at the bottom and saying, we can get them to go against their best interest. We can get them to ignore what's in their best interest. We can get them to forgetly complete about the fact that we're raping them financially and economically, because we can make them hate someone else based on the color of their skin. That is the system that has been baked. That is what has been baked into the system for hundreds of years. So when I say white supremacy, I'm not saying, oh, the white man is bad. Oh, the man is holding us down. No, I'm saying there is a structure in place that has been baked into the system that must be uprooted, and that has been disproportionately affected on people of color, but it has also impacted poor white people. Poor white people have been abused by this system too, willfully. They just didn't realize that they were going along with a system that is hurting them. And this is exactly what is happening in the Dominican Republic. You have people who are of African descent, who hate their African descent so much, they hate their African heritage so much that they worship, for all intents and purposes. And if you're from the Dominican Republic and you disagree with me, please call in. I'll give you the floor. But from everything that I've read, all the videos and documentaries that I've watched, and from testimonials of people that I've talked to, there is a worship of the Spanish portion of their culture, a worship of Christopher Columbus, when in actuality, their direct heritage is from Africa. So there's a level of self-hatred. They're just and here's the difference: the color of their skin. All of these, everyone who's running around saying that's the difference. That's the only difference, besides the language that they speak. But the primary difference is the color of their skin. Now, for everyone who's running around saying that we should have a conversation about what race really means. What does it mean to be black? What does it mean to be white? Everyone who's running around saying that this is an opportunity to start a conversation to move us forward to a post-racial society where, black and white, they don't matter. You must realize and recognize that so long as things such as the deportation of people of Haitian descent occur primarily based on the color of your skin, so long as the media reports on incidents that involve African Americans and black people in a manner that is glaringly different and prejudiced, so long as we are viewed through the lens of criminality, so long as racial profiling is justified based on criminal statistics that are themselves self-fulfilling prophecies, so long as all of these structural systems that are in place that bring an amount of oppression based on our skin color, so long as those systems exist, we cannot and will not have a conversation about moving into a post-racial society, because all that does, it doesn't change the society. It just nullifies and it makes null and void all of the gains that we made based on our race. And these were not gains. I said this before and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to get out of here. These were not gains because we wanted to be treated specially, because we wanted special treatment. Especially, yeah, it's one of those days. These were not gains. We didn't go and say, oh, give us the right to vote because we're special. We said, give us the right to vote because we're equal. We said, stop discriminating against us because we're equal. Stop lynching us because we're equal. Stop allowing the system to rape and pilfer and plunder our communities because we are human just like you. And what am I saying? I'm saying it's that all of the gains that we made, we had to make them just to be treated equal. And so now to all of a sudden disingenuously have a conversation about being post-racial, I think it's a farce. And Rachel Dolezal is white. She can identify with the Black culture as much as she wants, but there's no opting in to being Black if I cannot opt in to be white. And so long as the system treats us differently based on our color, there is no transracialism. Unless you're going to completely get your skin bleached so white that you can't tell the difference, and unless you're going to go sit in the sun until you turn Black. And then you have to do the taste test, right? The taste test is get pulled over by the police and talk back. That's the taste test. That's the smell test. Talk back to the police. See if the police are going to allow you to talk back to you in your Black skin. And then we can tell if you really transition and become Black. All right, folks, I'm getting out of here. Cleveland Cavaliers lost. I'm gonna, it's Golden State Warriors won. I didn't have a race in the horse. I really don't care. At the last second, I kind of felt bad for LeBron and wanted him to win because I'm arrogant just like him, and I wanted him to represent for arrogant people, but he lost. So I'm going to squeam my way back into my cave of false humility and pretend like I'm a nice guy when I'm really not, because he didn't win. He was supposed to win for us arrogant a-holes. But he didn't. But congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. Man, that damn Stephen Curry, he is a monster, and he's going to go down as a legend. I said that a long time ago on the show. He's going to be legendary. He's going to go down definitely a Hall of Famer without question. So congratulations to Golden State and to all of their fans. And Cleveland, you'll get them next time. But someone said it best, because I'm a Miami Heat fan. Until you do right by the Miami Heat, LeBron, everything you do is going to fail. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show.
And until that moment comes, when we, the Americans, are able to accept the fact that on that continent we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other, that I am not a ward of America. I am one of the people who built the country. Until this moment.
That we are brothers. It's not a question of Jews or Christians or Muslims. We're all in the same boat.
Which we need each other.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
I come to you today to say that we can build a newer and better nation. I say we can do so, that we must do so, and that we will do so.
You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com.